Hi, good afternoon everyone. I am Kyla Gutierrez Santos from Block 106, and now we were tackled about the morphosyntax of Philippine languages, the morphosyntax of world languages, the eternal structure of word, and the deriving new words. So first, let's have the morphosyntax of Philippine languages. Before we get started, what exactly is morphosyntax? Morphosyntax is another word for grammar. So morphology. Morphology is the principles of governing the way of words that are put together, while syntax is the format in which words and phrases are arranged to create sentences. For example of syntax, the boy jumped happily. The boy happily jumped. Happily, the boy jumped. And now, when we combine the morphology and the syntax is what we call the morphosyntax. This morphosyntax was built by the combination of syntax and morphology. Let's now have the morphosyntax of world languages. In 1979, based on Dixon, the letters S, A, and O are used by linguistics to identify some grammatical relations. And also, based on Piney in 1997, the term argument is used to refer to the participants and the semantic rules or relations that are normally associated with a given verb or predicate, in which it is a term for nouns that linguistics use to describe morphosyntax or describing morphosyntax. So here is the S. It means a clause with a certain one argument, or also called the intransitive clause. So the letter A, a clause with more than one argument that refers to a transitive clause, while the O is the entity that is most affected by the action. So the other non-core arguments marked are considered obliques, whose primary function of the obligate phrases is to express the setting of an activity or an event, like location, time, purpose, direction, and manner, and also the like. The alignment of these letters in basic sentence types is useful in determining the fundamental difference between two major language patterns, the accusative versus ergative languages. So here is the major language patterns of word languages. In a nominative, accusative system, S and A are marked the same, and O is marked as different, while in ergative or absolutive system, it is the S and O that receives similar case marking and A is marked differently. Let's now have the example. In Tagalog, lumangoy ang bata sa batis. Number 2, nilangoy ng bata ang batis. In the sentence 1 is a type of intransitive sentence, and bata is the only argument by the S, both the source of the action and the most affected entity of the swimming action. And in sentence number 2, on the other hand, is a transitive sentence with bata as the source of action of the A, and batis as the source of affected entity by O. And now in contrast, let's now have the example of it by the English words. She dances. She loves him. In sentence number 3 is an intransitive sentence, and she is the word by the N, in which is a transitive sentence, and she with by the letter A has the same mark as the sentence in number 3. In this topic, it shows us about the major language patterns of world languages and the difference between Tagalog and English language. And now let's proceed to our next topic, the internal structure of the word. It is describing the internal structure of word. The roots, gatul, and diklum, on the other hand, are the frame, morphemes and do not have to be attached to some other form to express their meaning. And now, a word in a Philippine languages may consist of a root, a stem, and a particle. Here are some examples of a root. In Surigano, the daya is translated to word bring. And in Ilocano, the word bigat is translated in an English word called morning. And in letter B, I stem. Here is some example. In Masbateño, the word maraot was translated into word ugly. And in Waray, the word maupay is what we called the good. Letter C, a particle. The example of particle in Ifugao, the word ut means the end or the da. In Romblumanon, the word agud is translated in a word that. So in this topic, it shows about our mother tongue that was translated into an international languages. And now, we have our last topic, the deriving new words, in which the new words can be derived through the process of the inflection and derivation, in which this inflection is derived through affixation to express grammatical contrasts such as aspects, person, numbers, and gender. And in Tagalog word, the word magaganda is example of inflection operation that signifies a plurality. In the Philippine languages, employ the following operation in deriving new words, such as affixation, reduplication, and stress shift. The affixation is the process to which an affix is attached to a root or an intermediate system. For example, the Masbateño, the word karaut are called aba or maraut that was translated into word ugly. And the word kanam na aman is translated into a word toy. And the word sugba or simugha is what we call smoked fish. And in reduplication, the repetition of word or part of words to form a new word. For example, in Masbateño, the word baruto was reduplicated by the word baru-baruto, in which translated into a word mini boat. And in Masbateño, the word tawot reduplication by tawo-tawo is what we call toy man. Another one, the Masbateño, the word bakalon in reduplication babakalon is translated into word will buy. The last one is the stress shift to avoid stress on adjunct syllables. For example, in Masbateño, the word bayad is translated into a word pay or paid. And now that we've finished about the world's languages, it talks about our mother tongue that was translated into an international language. It shows how to translate the words by ours into an international languages. That's all. Thanks for watching.